Good morning. Welcome to our virtual service. My name is James Parker. Thank you for being here with us today. Well, my lesson title today is Your Unfailing Resource. Friends, the world is inclined to consider a person's resources in terms of education and accomplishments and possessions. This kind of thinking is not to be disparaged. It is very important. But unless the owner of these things realizes that the source is within, in the depth of their being, he or she can never be quite sure of holding on to them. You may think of yourself as independent and secure, but nothing in the external world is forever plentiful and stable. Values, situations, demands, occupational needs change constantly. Life is a continually changing, challenging experience. Many who thought themselves financially secure for life have found their means dwindling and their abilities insufficient to meet the changing demands of the world around them. Is there lasting security? Is there no way to be sure of supply when a person is along in years? These are questions that a lot of people are asking, and it's important that we ask them too. Of course, there's a way. I'm talking about the way Jesus demonstrated when he revealed and proved the way of knowing God as your way of life, your love, your substance, your intelligence. He turned to God and proved to mankind that God is the limitless resource of the people. He fulfilled and demonstrated the truth by increasing the loaves and fishes, by providing tax money, by multiplying the fish in Peter's net, by healing, and by supplying needs as they showed up. Jesus' way is an eternal knowing that God is present in its entirety at the point where we are. All substance, all intelligence, all life, all love, all wholeness is present in its entirety at the point where you are. If you will just for a moment change your way of being and thinking to a knowing that God is always working in your favor to supply you with the unlimited and unfailing resources of heaven, you can never know lack, limitation, or scarcity of any kind, because the presence of Spirit within you is always present, never absent. Marianne Williamson said, "The key to abundance is meeting limited circumstances with unlimited thinking." Friends, many persons today are falling for the overwhelming stresses of life because in one way or another they feel inadequate. In a way, it's an escape from reality. For such people, burdens seem too heavy. Problems seem beyond solution. Feelings of guilt are too burdensome. Relationships are too unstable. And responsibilities are just too great to bear. The thing is, these people who stress out or go to pieces are not defeated by the strain of living. They are defeated because they think they are incapable of handling the experiences of life. And it's all in their own mind. By thinking they are limited, they separate themselves from God and limit themselves. Ultimately, frustrating their opportunities and potentiality. The truth is, you can only manage your problems if you feel that you are adequate to the job. Issues in your life can be dealt with if you accept with confidence the resources within you. Now, I'm not saying that you should take an approach of being blindly optimistic. No, you must look at the facts of each situation with clear-eyed honesty, and then confront the situation with the calm assurance that the resources of Spirit within will be great enough to deal with anything that challenges you. Wayne Dyer said, "By staying focused on what I intend to create, by believing that the universe is all providing, and by knowing that I am worthy of the unlimited beneficence of the source of being, I just keep attracting prosperity to me." Many persons tend to think of God as a sort of spiritual being who attends to the spiritual needs of other people only. They rarely see themselves as the beneficiaries of God's good. They shudder at the idea that God is the intelligence that undergirds all commerce, all finance, and the resources of the world. They fail to recognize the Spirit within them. This is what we call the absence of God mentality. As long as we think of God as out there, God who gives and withholds, God who must be reached for, we are talking about the absence of God. But the presence of God is the allness of spirit that is present in its entirety right at the point where we are, as that which we are. Once there was a wealthy man who commissioned a magnificent home to be built from only the finest of materials. He told the builder, who happened to be a very poor man, to spare no expense at building the house. Then he gave him unlimited resources for him to use. Instead of using the best materials, the builder decided that he could make money by cutting corners. So instead of using the finest materials, he used inferior ones. He covered up gaps in his work and masked mistakes with paint. When the house was finished, the builder handed the wealthy man the keys to the house. Underneath its beautiful appearance, its poor workmanship would soon reveal a leaky and drafty home that would be unable to keep out the heat, the cold, or rain. However, the wealthy man had never meant for the home to be for himself. Upon seeing the poor builder's need, he had commissioned the home to be for the builder himself. He had provided the most lavish of materials and resources to the builder so he could build a beautiful and sturdy home, a dream home that would shelter and protect him and his family for the rest of their lives. So instead of taking the keys for himself, the wealthy man handed the keys back to the builder, saying, "Welcome home. I saw your need and wanted to provide you with a home that would protect you and that you could enjoy for the rest of your life. I wanted it to be a source of grace and blessing to you and your family in your need." How terribly the builder must have felt. If he had only known the home was meant for him, he wouldn't have cut corners. He wouldn't have used the cheapest materials. He would have done his best. He would have listened to the rich man's instructions. If only he had said yes to the rich man's goodness. This story never fails to impact me. Each one of us can come away with deep, profound, and varied implications of this story if we take the time to reflect on its meaning. It impacts us because we know there are times that we fail to realize the greatness and generosity of God. Simply put, God has given you the plan and purpose to fill your needs without sparing any expense and using the best materials. Yet to a person, we exchange God's loving plan for something less than, something lacking and limited. Deepak Chopra said, "Life is a field of unlimited possibilities." Friends, do you see the Spirit of God within you as your unlimited possibility, your allness, your unlimited resource? Or do you shudder and faint and cut corners in your ability to love, or your ability to prosper, or your inner ability to heal? How often do you fail to realize that God has already given you everything you need to be abundantly prosperous and successful in life? Your breath, a heart that beats, a mind to reason, and a spirit that manifests an infinite supply of happiness and joy. God sets a table before us, containing the richest, most lavish feast of life and light, strength and nourishment that can ever be attained this side of eternity. What do you do with these amazing riches? Do you recognize that they are there for you to use? Do you utilize them, or do you cut corners and go for the cheap and easy things to fill your heart and your life? Do you perform your daily duty to the best of your ability, or with laziness and neglect, seeking to just get by and do the bare minimum? Do you realize that God is love and that any love, any family, any friends, any people that are in your life are a grace beyond measure? Someone once said, if human beings are perceived as potentials rather than problems, as possessing strengths instead of weaknesses, as unlimited rather than dull and unresponsive, then they thrive and grow to their capabilities. Friends, God is your supply and support. And when you acknowledge God as your supply and support, you will never be frightened or worried by life. Claim instead for yourself that all your resources come from the God source within you, which is limitless, which is present, never absent, present in its entirety at the point where you are. That God is your instant, constant, and abundant resource. Know for yourself that God is one who never limits your worth or your ability. God will always have something for you to do, whereby you can enter into greater works, greater abundance, and greater good. Place no limit on yourself, on your resources, on your years, on your capacity. Step up your game. Let your resources be strengthened and increased by the power of the indwelling God that is present in its entirety at every point in space, present as you. Remember, you are wealthier than you know, through your own undiscovered kingdom within. Michael Beckwith, he said, "We are unlimited beings. We have no ceiling. The capabilities and the talents and the gifts and the power that is within every single individual that is on this planet is unlimited." Today, realize that you're not inadequate. You are unlimited. God is your supply and your support. God is your unfailing resource, and this is the truth about you. Friends, are you willing to do this with me today? Well, thank you all, and God bless you.